Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon for some of you, depending on where you are. But lovely to have you all in the room with us today. Hope you're all well. A quick introduction, guys. My name is Annie Toner. I'm the CEO of the Data Shack, or group CEO, looking after all of our operations from EMEA, Africa, Middle East, as well as our Asia Pac operations, where we've got some customers out in Malaysia and Singapore. And also in Taiwan and those places. So guys, welcome to today's call, today's webinar. Very pleased to see you all joining. Really, today is talking about emergence of AI and what have we learned? What have our customers been telling us around all of this? How are we seeing this evolving in industry? Some of you are from oil and gas industry, some of you from mining, and some of you from fast-moving consumer goods manufacturing and other manufacturing type industries, and heavy industry. Guys, we're seeing a lot of trends happening in this space. So would really love to talk to you a little bit more about what we are seeing. What are the things that are going right and wrong? And also, what are the best practices? We've been working for my sins. I've been in this industry for close on 28 years now, coming up this year, and just the evolution and what are the wins and losses in the last few years that we've seen, talking to large and small customers everywhere. So with that, I think we're going to get started. So guys, you might wonder why we're talking about smart factories and getting started smartly in manufacturing or processing or heavy industry, and you see a couple on a bike on a beach. Now, guys, I really liken this as a journey. Two of my employees are actually at the moment actually from our AME region and UK region are digital nomads and in Thailand and the like, working from there, not necessarily on holiday. But guys, as we start our year and we kind of said goodbye at the 42nd day of January, say goodbye to our holidays and start getting into the swing of things. A lot of us are actually starting to think about again AI projects and where are those fitting in to our business? Where are we meant to go with this? We're seeing customers endeavoring, starting these projects, and a lot of them are quite nervous to get started. So I guess as the quarter already is evolving, a lot of us are not just planning our projects, but a lot of us are already thinking, when can I have my next break? Hopefully Easter's coming up. But some of you are planning your next trip away now. Guys, I'm a data scientist. I started, or I graduated in the 90s, so excuse my age and aging myself, but I'm an old school statistician and I think in stats, and I actually kind of bore my husband a lot of the time. I was sitting on a beach in Cape Town. You can hear my accent, though I live predominantly in Europe and the UK these days. I grew up in South Africa. You can hear from my accent. We sat on a beach in Cape Town some years ago, and I was looking at the waves, and I was saying to him, the pattern looks a bit off, and he just rolled his eyes at me because I do think in stats, guys. But imagine you were planning this holiday, but you had really a 9% chance of getting to the airport. Just imagine that. Wherever you may be, you really don't know how and if you're going to get there. So think of this in terms of your AI plans, right? 13% of your pilots, you've got a 13% chance that pilot is trained. So just think about this for a minute. Are you going to get on that plane? Are you really, are you, number one, going to arrive for the flight? Number two, are you actually going to get out of there alive? And lastly, what if I could tell you that there's an 85% chance that The hotel I'm going to stay at, or wherever I booked to stay, has a negative rating on TripAdvisor. So would you go on that holiday? I don't think you would, right? um, Thinking of it that way. So let's talk about this in terms of AI. A lot of our customers are telling us that they endeavoring AI projects. They're wanting to start. They're wanting to get this embedded within their plants, whether it be a processing plant, whether I'm a food or a beverage manufacturer. We've got cigarette manufacturers in our customer base. We've got coin manufacturers. We've got people who produce diamonds and platinum and gold. What do you need to get started? Only 9%. And this is a survey done. I spoke mid last year in June, and in Birmingham at the Smart Manufacturing Engineering Week. And the Manufacturer magazine here in the UK actually did a survey. Now, attendees are across the world and across Europe. And only 9% of the customers surveyed actually told them that they were at least leveraging it. But again, it's on their top three priorities in their KPIs for the year, in their plants and in their general manufacturing procedures. So another sort of chilling statistic, if you think about 13% of pilots are trained. Statistics from the same report told us that only 13% of employees were offered a chance to get trained on AI. Now, there's lots of debate here, guys. I've spoken very recently, towards the end of last year, spoke with a large motor manufacturer here in the UK, and their headquarters is in Germany, so it's one of the big boys. And they were saying to us their biggest scare is do they have the people, the necessary trained people to deliver on their AI execution plan for the next few years? Where do we get the people? Do we source people from outside? Do we actually train our own people? Guys, a lot of the research that I've seen recently and just experience from working in this industry for a long, long time, if you've got people who know and understand your processes and understand your business, those are the guys usually that deliver the most success. But are we giving them the opportunities to get trained? So these are things that we are seeing that companies are a little bit scared of getting started for various reasons. But this is a very big one. Another one, and especially we're seeing this in our very far larger sort of blue chip customers. They've tried some AI projects or big data projects at least, or even BI type projects where some AI was involved. And a lot of those projects have failed. Now, guys, I'm painting a bit of a bleak picture just to say that these things do fail, but there's reasons they fail. The reasons they fail is kind of failing to plan. We don't plan to fail, but sometimes we fail to plan, and there's some best practices to follow, and there's things that you shouldn't discount when getting on those journeys, and certainly small or large. And so if you failed at these projects before, don't be afraid to attempt them again. There's no question that you should get started. But there's approaches that are much safer. There's approaches that give you value and how you measure value and how you pick those use cases. And then that's the core, and the people you put around these use cases are extremely important. And how do you get to the end? And it's kind of a little bit like eating an elephant. I always say from my African heritage, how do you eat an elephant? Piece by piece. And don't think that if you don't do it, or you shouldn't get started. There are the right ways to get started. Now there's quite a few project realities that we mostly see. A lot of you have more than one processing plant or more than one manufacturing facility. You've got all kinds of data, and factory leaders are telling us more and more that I've got more data, but I've got less insight. I've got less info at the tip of my fingers. These days, we've got IoT, we've got devices and sensors chucking data at us. I was speaking to some of our mining customers, diamond mining customers, and just the wealth of data that's being pushed through to the engineering side, to the process control side of their business in their processing plants. But guys, half of those sensors or half of the data is not the data that's actually driving their core KPIs. So when one looks at data from AI and an analytical point of view, one needs to be really clear about what is the question I'm trying to answer. What are the insights I need to learn? I actually worked with a subject matter expert there, and did some basic first just data understanding, understanding what the data was all about, and thought I was providing some insights about some blockages and stoppages in the plant. But I was continuously saying to them, this shift O looks problematic. It looks like things are not working here on the shift, and shift O is seems to be performing very low on production. And they had quite a giggle because shift O is when they're down for maintenance. Now, guys, I can be as great a data scientist as I want to be. If I don't understand the business and the data that comes with it, those two things married together, when this person could give me, these are my questions, these are the things that I need to know. Of course, we're going to find patterns in that data. Of course, we can find anomalies that they may not have known about. But the project reality of AI is I've got to have compelling business questions that I want to answer, and assure that my data is aligned with that. Assure that I can actually answer the question. Lots of data is not necessarily always the answer, but using that data in the correct way. So, if you will, having a guided path, having yourself knowing your business and understanding what it is that you need to get to at the end of the day, but having that guided reality. So, what do I recommend after sort of the little bit of doom and gloom we started with? I can certainly tell you in some of, I worked in the last 2 years, and this work was published in a medical textbook. Worked with a medical device manufacturer, and at first when they started trying to put algorithms on a device that's supposed to be making very key decisions, or not key decisions, not making it itself, but guiding a doctor in ICU based on certain readings and patient demographic, actually telling them whether a person's kidneys were going to fail or not, and whether they were supposed to give them diuretics to help the process or not, and because it could lead to major organ failure and things like that. But guys, the reason I'm telling you this is understanding whether these things are actually viable and can I deploy takes testing. They had no data to start with. They were developing these algorithms from scratch. Guys, understanding that we could find the data, we could build an algorithm, we could test that algorithm. You need a guided path, because a lot of the time that company that hired us to do this work actually had a team of 300 data scientists already working on some 200 and something projects. Why did they hire somebody like us? Because it was something their team said to them, we've not done this before. This is new to us. And a lot of their projects would take up to a year, 2 years to deliver, cost them several $1 million. In this case, we are trying to say, don't stop, don't wait because you think the cost and the time and can I get started. Start with a guided path. You need to at least follow some of these, the building blocks. And there's good building blocks, and there's good practices, and there's practices that fit in with your business methodology. So you need, in this guided path, what do you need? A perfect recipe. How do I do this? A noddy guide, if you will. What are the things that essentially should be there? How do I get there? But how do I get there faster? How does it not take a year? And I don't know if it's going to fail or not. And the next thing is train your pilots if you're going on this trip. Assure that they understand what it is that you're trying to achieve, understand what it is that they're doing. And guys, by far, assuring it's somebody that really understands the key levers in your process. And really work off real life examples. Where has this worked? I attend a lot of these tech conferences, big data conferences, AI conferences, in not just in manufacturing sector. And a lot of the time, I actually kind of get a little bit nauseous if you walk through the stands and I see AI everywhere. And when I walk up and I ask a question, and my first question is always, where have you done this? Where has this worked? Show me a real life example. And typical salesperson in a very shiny suit will tell me, it's possible to do this and it's possible. And I kind of get, okay, thank you. No, where have you done it? How has it worked? If you haven't struggled and failed once or twice, then you haven't done it. So guys, real life examples, assure that you learn from your experience, you learn from the experience of others, and attending things like these at least help you get some number one, guidance, but number two, learn from others that have failed, because these things do fail and they fail for various reasons. But if you have a plan ahead of the time and you at least know what the pitfalls are, you can really try to learn from the experiences of others. So guys, what is that perfect recipe? And we really recommend a bimodal approach. Um, it's you need that stability. You can't just go. You guys are everyday live running plants, manufacturing products, producing end products from various upstream, downstream processes. You need to have that stability, but don't leave innovation behind. So we kind of suggest this bimodal approach. So you have your key use cases. We can prioritize, grab one of them, use it as the guinea pig, assure that you get something and you deliver some value fast. Because that's what we did for this medical manufacturer. We did a 6-week sprint and we augmented it with another 6-week sprint. And we came up with a product at the end of the day, faster than they thought they would get there. But by doing that, we produced an infrastructure, and that's the solving new problems. Once I've built an infrastructure, a plan, a recipe, to repeat it and make sure that the right things are in place is a lot easier. So you need to make sure that you scale it quickly, but you don't miss all the steps. And while you're building, uh, uh, um, build a structured approach to do this in future so that you can repeat with new use cases. So through learning through years, and guys, again, we've done this for years and years. We've worked through with customers in industry for a long time, and we know what fails projects, we know what works, what doesn't work, and that allows you to very quickly work with a customer. And so we suggest 9 building blocks, AI building blocks, to get fast results, but also build for the future. You need to do both. You can't sit the motor manufacturer I was talking about earlier said to us, we've been trying to create a comprehensive strategic AI plan now for about a year. But we've got nothing on the table. We've got nothing to show just yet, because we're so scared we miss a step. So again, you don't have to eat this elephant all at once and all in one sitting. So don't over plan, because sometimes you don't get out of the starting blocks if you don't plan. But you do have to plan for scaling something, because if you're really serious, and a lot of our manufacturing customers are telling us that they're really serious about embedding AI, there's a lot of benefits, guys. But we suggest a bimodal approach. So start fast. If you look at my sort of block number 1, start fast. You've got perhaps a single use case look at AI readiness. We do predominantly in the last few months, a lot of the companies that said wanted to just get started with a POC or a use case, we've sort of said, just take one little step back. Let's just quickly assess, are you ready to do this? What are the things that are needed to embed? And we've got nice templates and evaluations for, are you ready? Are you really ready? Do you have the right data? Do you have the right people? Look at the use cases that you've prioritized for AI implementation. Pick the best ones to start with. Start with one. Whilst we working on this one, we are building up to prepare to scale. So that's our bimodal approach. So we're already starting to deliver on the first one, and the first one is our test case to assure we have the things in block two to prepare us to scale. Because if one works well, we will know that we've got the right data infrastructure. Our data management practices are sound. We've got governance in place, ethics, compliance, and very importantly, as I said, the talent and culture to drive this. And a lot of the time, and what we see is innovation. Somebody implements something in one area of their business, and it never gets rolled out, and it never get the bigger business don't benefit from it. If you cultivate the culture, and if you assure that it's sustainable and you build a framework within your business, this is going to just accelerate that process much faster. Once you've assured that you've kind of tested the waters with your single use case, and you've started preparing to scale because you've tested that all of these things are in place for the first use case, we then go and transition to a factory or a plant enabled for AI. You've got the right technology and tools. You engage with the right stakeholders, guys. A lot of these projects fail because they're not supported by top leadership teams. They don't help or give the the teams the time of day to actually endeavor and make mistakes and try again and get it right. There's always learnings, and if you don't have buy-in right from the top, it's really hard for perhaps an engineering team or some other team within the business to be afforded the time to actually make these projects successful. Have things in place to make sure we can validate the models we implement, we can optimize, we can deploy them very easily. It's integrated across our business, and we can scale it. So here we're starting to embed a culture of AI and making sure we can sustain various projects at once. And the very last step is really to have a AI center of excellence within our business, where we can consistently monitor the projects and the AI projects that's feeding into this practice or center of excellence. And we can actually control the model operations and very easily pull and push the right models to the right place at the right time. So guys, really, I'm spending time on this slide because a lot of people get these things wrong. And this is the way to do it successfully and assure that it works, right? So if you put it in context of a plant, we really make sure that we want to make sure that whilst you've got certain pre-built capabilities already in place, a lot of you have spent a lot of money on tools and tech tooling for process optimization, maybe predictive analytics, root cause analysis, continuous improvement, things like statistical process control. I always say, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. These are the capabilities that can be easily connected into a platform where you can, at a high level, monitor these things and understand. And make sure that, again, in this bimodal approach, we then have customizable options that we can add on. And through the years, and we really, our methodologies evolved. Our platforms that we've built for customers, like Sigmafi, the name that you see here, was built specifically because we've done this over and over and over again with smaller manufacturers, larger manufacturers, big industry, and saw what the things are that's necessary for such a platform and such an approach. We need to have the right building blocks. we need to assure and um, uh, we need to assure that we agnostically are able to give our customer advice and say, this is what we think is the right for your business. Things like um, adding on immediately your problems when you start looking at your own process and you're embedding things there are things like your raw materials and supply chain, planning and distribution. Those are all sets of data that feed into the performance of your plants at the end of the day. Things like predictive maintenance, and custom AI models that might fit into other areas of your plant and where you specifically need it. Specifically for our farmer customers, our customers that work with food. There's a few of you guys in here, food manufacture, beverage manufacture, looking at your product and its stability over time when it's in my plant and when it leaves my plant. Guys, these are kinds of things that you need to be prepped for, and be able to plug in the right data, but use the same recipe. And key to that is the next thing I want to talk about. And guys, we're almost done through some depth by PowerPoint, and you're more than welcome after this to ask me some questions. But um, what are we being asked for? We said the data and the platform and making sure the right building blocks are in place and methodologies. But how do we embed this within our talent and culture of our business? Training, guys, making sure that what are we being asked for the most? We've got two very large oil and gas customers here in the UK, and also globally. One of them's we work with globally. What are they asking us for? We've always been known for providing them with good training on data science, AI, ML, on the analytics side, on basic digital literacy, data literacy, basic analyzing data, gleaning results from data. We're being asked for generative AI. Things like, what is it? In this oil and gas customer I'm just talking about, we've been providing 2 sessions a month across the worldwide business, and they operate in the Americas, Alaska, Texas, Canada. They've got operations here in the UK, in Norway for obvious reasons, and Netherlands, and then a lot of these sales and logistics operations in Asia Pacific, across the board, teaching their audience at least 10 to 20% of what their business community is what is generative AI? How can I leverage it? Can I use it? So it's becoming that AI is becoming that important, and specifically the latest sort of iterations of it. Our more mature customers in the AI space are asking us, how can I leverage generative AI? So guys, the training is out there. There's some of our academic customers, I think, registered for today. There's really good programs teaching, and really good learnerships programs your staff can attend. A lot of these universities, a lot of these colleges are offering government-sponsored courses, and there's a lot of demand. But guys, make sure that you afford the people that you're wanting to upskill, because they come with you in working on these kinds of things and learning the basics. And how do I leverage these technologies? How do I leverage these methodologies? And how do I do it right? For us specifically, guys, and look out for it. Just to give sort of a little overview about this, we actually have our marketing team is currently producing for us almost best practice a guided factory tour to show you what does it look like when it's right? Because we talk real life examples, guys, but the only time that it really becomes real for you is when you can touch and feel it and say, well, I'm a persona within a business. I'm somebody that I'm a stakeholder, and there's various different stakeholders in your business. There's people sort of like Laura on the left, who is a departmental manager. She looks at primary manufacturing area of her business, and she needs to be able to know what are the key drivers in my department, what are the things that are going right and wrong, and looking at it from an overarching point of view. She's that person that perhaps has lots of data but not a lot of information. You have people like Josh in the hard hat that's a process engineer. He's responsible for assuring no stoppages, blockages, the operational efficiency of the plant, R&D, so some new innovations. Does he have the necessary AI modeling capability to get answers quickly and get warnings before things are going wrong? And um, uh, heaven help us with modern AI. Models making decisions within his plant, and can that be done fast, and can he embed and can he quickly scale for those to be deployed to make plants more efficient and faster? You've got Jenny here who's in QA, understanding the really in the lab, analyzing samples at quality around our product. How does she leverage AI? How does she, what's important to her? And then you've got Mark, who's the factory lead. He's the GM of this plant, and he needs really to understand in his life, overarchingly, what's happening in my plant. Now, guys, these are four very different stakeholders, four very different requirements. Guys, the first thing is, that data silo kind of thing that I was talking about, assuring that whoever I am, the data that's necessary for me to make decisions is connected and is readily available to me, but not just available. I don't want to go and try and find it in various databases or systems, plonk it together to and sit for hours to make a decision. We need to make sure it's connected. Laura knows when she opens her desktop in the morning, she can see what the key drivers are, and underpinning that into a platform where she can easily make decisions and where she can drill down if she wants to and understand what's going on within her business. And guys, really, yes, connected data is key, but what is the next sort of ingredient of this recipe I alluded to? The recipe is not just only the methodology, which I spoke about a little bit in the bimodal approach, but the recipe is also having the right information and analytics and AI, and the answers from that served up to the right people. If Mark here is wanting to understand what are those little red areas within my business, can I very quickly drill down and understand I'm the GM, I'm responsible for things moving out the door as best possible at a high quality to make customers happy? Can I very quickly get insights, information, not data, information? And are these underpinned by the latest methodologies, the latest modeling techniques? Can I get these answers without being a data scientist myself and interpret, understand, get when I click something that I need when I open my eyes this morning, because else I won't sleep? What else, guys, in this recipe is important? As I said, not just the bimodal AI methodology, but again, talking about that point of throwing the baby out with the bathwater, the things that you learned. I know if you guys are, especially our guys that are in mining and manufacturing in this room, you grew up with Six Sigma technologies. You grew up learning process methodologies, the tools and techniques, the mindset and culture. Don't throw that out the window. Making sure that you can marry a lot of our customers, and one of the I think groups in the room today, we actually teach them the intake of new interns after they studied, new engineers. We teach them how to embed or integrate the engineering methodologies that they've learned with AI and data methodologies. So those two things marry actually very nicely. It's a structured approach. It's how do I, what is the recipe? What are the building blocks for making sure I produce sound AI models? Very similar to your methodologies that you learn in engineering and in manufacturing and in quality control. Step-by-step process, tick all the boxes. So that's quite important, guys. Use those recipes. Don't throw them away. You spend money on training your community to speak the same language, to understand, but enhance it with the AI training and how to marry those methodologies in the data science and AI ML space, how to marry that with your manufacturing, engineering, and quality control Six Sigma methodologies. The last thing I want to kind of talk about is assuring that when you've now you know embedded all of this, you've got the right talent, you've got the right methodologies, you're going about it the right way, being sure that it can be implemented very quickly, very fast. If you look at that AI Center of Excellence, assuring that anybody who is running a project can share with the organization, that you can scale very quickly. A lot of the time, I've found that models that work for a certain purpose within a specific area of my business can be easily replicated and applied at scale in other areas of my business. So bringing it all together, guys, there's three key takeaways I want for you is to say we want to assure that, number one, you use the right recipe for success. And that recipe involves two things. Number one, what are the best practices for getting AI and machine learning embedded in my business? And assuring that I prep for that I check that my business is ready for it. Take my people along and take everybody along, not just the data science department or the IT department. Take all of them along with you, and assure that if you're going to have a center of excellence. I had the pleasure of visiting the pharmaceutical manufacturing technology center in Cork in Ireland, and just looking at the innovation and the types of people. In the beginning, you would find a scientist there, maybe an R&D, learning about AI and machine learning. We are now seeing that a lot of the manufacturing institutions are training a broad spectrum of people within their environment on applying, understanding what AI and ML is. They're not the ones necessarily that have to build the models, but they need to work with a good data scientist and know what is expected and understand the building blocks so that they can give the necessary guidance. It's a team effort, guys. It takes a village to launch successful AI Center of Excellence or AI practices within your business. Involve as many people as is necessary to make it successful. So if those things you take away with you and think a little bit about it, hopefully in a few years' time, when we look at stats, we are not scared to go on the trip. We are not scared that the plane's going to fall or I'm going to stay in an awful hotel. I hope this brings it home for you guys. I'm gonna stop here and thank you a lot for listening to me, and just hoping that this is insightful for you, and that you benefit from listening, guys. There's lots of these things out there. My advice is always to listen to people who have done it, who've done it successfully. Again, it's almost. I actually have a picture that I used to speak to in big data conferences of a guy standing with a fire hose and everything's just coming at his face, the water. And I sometimes feel like that, and I'm in the industry. The stuff's coming at you thick and fast, and it's about really becoming that rather than swallowing all the water, becoming a diver or a submarine, and the data is the water, and the and going and all the info you're getting is the water, and navigating and picking the right bits, and do it securely, and do it with a plan, and some guidance from experienced professionals. Daniel, a great question. Do you have any recommendations on a training deployment plan around AI? There are many tools and options out there. Daniel, yes, there are really great initiatives. Not sure where you are located, but they're really, first of all, these days, university courses and learnerships for your staff. Very well funded. If you find the right ones, we can help and guide you. We've got actually people attending today that do exactly that. And yes, we've got so on training deployment. It's one recommendation I would have is look at your various personas, at what level they need to be trained. There are number one assessment packs we have, and info I can provide you with the greatest of pleasure on what are good training courses? What should a good training course look like? What does a bad one look like? My advice here would be definitely, first of all, make sure the provider is reputable. Make sure that the qualification is recognized by a credible body. Uh, I know specifically there's some really good short courses that are accreditable to training authority, training qualifications authorities. Make sure that those are the ones you attend. Also make sure that you send the right person and train people at the right level. We've got a big semiconductor manufacturer that's our customer. We've kind of trained about 800 of people in their audience in the last, say, 6 to 8 months, just data literacy and things like that. But assure that the first thing we learned when we started was that we had people from like supply chain, manufacturing plant, IT, finance in the same room, different personas with different needs, and making sure that when you train and deploy this, that you assure that you aim it at the right audience and at the right level. Your engineering, manufacturing guys usually like a much higher level than somebody that's perhaps in finance, who's just a planner or somebody. So make sure when I speak about those personas, I spoke about some of the personas, but make sure that you aim the right level of literacy to the right level of person, and also assure that the guys and you typically find we start at a level where we'll say we'll give everybody some literacy. And then we start and say, okay, you'll naturally see people moving to the next level, the next level, and the next level, and those audiences become smaller because it becomes more specialized. But if you direct it at the right personas, you're gonna upscale them at the right level. So I hope that answers your question. But certainly, for any advice or further advice, very happy to assist just with some advice, Daniel. And we've got some frameworks and things that I can share that really helps just to say, do we have the right things? At what level should we get people involved, and who should be involved at what level? And what are the best sort of methodologies, tools, and things out there for us to use? So with absolute pleasure. Thank you. And I hope that answered your question. Right. Guys, we're almost out of time. I don't see any other questions. If there's things that you or if it's something you think about later, if you want, please reach out to Josh, Elise. They are available. Please reach out to me, guys. As I said, there's many pitfalls. It takes a village. And there's these things that go right, there's things that go wrong. If you're in the midst of something and you're getting stuck, please reach out. Hopefully we can at least give you some guidance and advice. We've worked with projects that have gone wrong, and we know why they went wrong, and so really happy to help. I really appreciate you attending, and thank you for being with us this morning.